Hey everyone, welcome to Descenders, Extreme Procedural Freeriding. I'm Incetic. With me on these videos is Blank Tester.
Hey kids, how's it going?
And Ramirez.
Hey, what's up everybody?
And so Descenders is a game that I want to show off, mainly because I've, definitely picked it up recently and gotten a lot out of it, and also the PC version, according to the devs, is basically done. So, Descenders is a mountain biking game for the PC and Xbox One, and a Nintendo Switch version was announced recently.
Oh, that's nice.
I believe it's also on PS4 as well.
Is it?
I think so.
But the PC version is definitely the one to pick up if you can, because recently custom mods and custom level support has been added to the game. So on PC version, you can download these crazy terrains that people have created, including some of the developers making their own awesome maps for it.
Yeah.
That option is not available on Xbox or PS4 or Nintendo Switch. So yeah, the core of Descenders is then doing a career mode where it will take you through several environments, procedurally generating levels for you to make it through. And I kind of struggled with what to show off before we get into the game. When you start up for the first time, there is a short tutorial that will basically give you the controls. I would recommend playing with a controller. It'll be, right trigger to go, left trigger to brake, and then some of the light tricking controls. Now, if you're expecting an extreme sports game where it's, trick enough to build up a 10 times combo and then do your special trick over a sit gap, this is not that kind of game.
Not even close, no.
In fact, it actually might kind of be a surprise when you get into the game, and it's almost a roguelike, sort of.
Yeah, it's definitely a risk management game, as I would call it.
Mm-hmm. Along with the generated levels, you also have a certain number of lives, and, well, you can make up more lives by doing optional objectives that they'll give you in each level, but you can also crash enough to lose your lives and basically end your run and have to start over. And so that's kind of the double-edged sword of the game, I would say. It's not like once you play 10 hours, you unlock body armor or something. I mean, that's just a silly example, but what that basically means is the toughest part of the game is the start, is the first few hours, when you don't know what anything is, and you have to hit your head against anything and everything and go, oh, okay, I see how that is now.
And can I jump in real quick and say the biggest roadblock for me initially starting was I had no idea that you could counter pump when you land.
Yeah.
Going off a jump, if you hold up on the right thumbstick, you will lessen you'll lessen your impact a little bit, and that can be the difference between crashing and landing your bike, because it's not enough to just have your wheels lined up with the ground. You also have to not be coming at it at like 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, another thing I found too that is really difficult when you're first starting to play is you want to go balls to the wall and like the whole thing, but like once you get really good at the game, you got to realize like sometimes speed is not what you want in certain situations.
Speed might be your enemy in more speed might be your enemy. You might need to be going at a certain speed. Oh, do you want to explain the crew members thing?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to explain that. What we're going to see over the next few videos is a full career run through the 4 environments. And again, I know what I'm doing, but I do think it's best to see a game being shown off well, rather than, your experience to the game just being a whole bunch of people loading it up and, maybe getting their asses kicked in the first 5 or so minutes. So what we saw there is that I had gotten enough points to get to where you get your first crew member. You'll get crew members across a career playthrough when you get to a certain rep. The rep is shown on the very bottom center. And of those crew members, they're kind of in 3 categories. There's the blue guy, I'll just say guy, the yellow guy, and the red, and the green woman, which we did not see any of there. The blue kind of assists you with map knowledge. The yellow assists you with the courses, and the green assists your abilities. So like for the blue,
Oh my god.
That was
For the blue, he was able to show you further levels in the map. The yellow was all about, lowering the obstacles around you, and the green will be something like, increase how hard you can crash before you lose multiple lives on a crash or something like that. So again, procedurally generated levels, and here's a rough patch that I came across where it gives you this mini boss kind of jump. They call them, mini bosses in the game. But from the checkpoint, it just did not give me the speed to be able to get up to it. And I am pointing this out. You will mess this up. You do need to jump over that second part of it.
Yeah, you do.
The first time you go through it, if you don't know that there's a gap there, you are going to fall right in and crash.
Yeah.
So kind of what I was put in the position of was, okay, the first time I messed it up. The second time when I respawned, I didn't have enough speed. So what do I do? Do I just go for it again and change nothing? Do I go back up and get more speed? Or do I maybe just go around it? And that's the risk management that Ramirez talked about.
Yeah.
I decided, since I wanted to show off that jump,
Oh, God.
I decided to go get more speed and go for it. But really, I made more of a deal of that than it is. And I kind of wish I encountered another one of those in this playthrough so I could show you that it's not some boogeyman to avoid.
Yeah, and honestly, you might notice he's going off track a little bit. There's no penalty for going off track other than there's like rocks and trees and stuff. So like if you're okay dodging rocks and trees and stuff, or in this case he needs to get 2 near misses, it might be a good idea for him to get close to a rock or a tree at speed so that he can get near misses. Now, so he can just ride out here, right? And there's no penalty out here. I do want to point out that the thing in the top right corner there is that's a bonus objective. If you complete that, you will get an extra life, which is counted in the top left corner. And also you might have noticed there's a map that we keep going to with the with levels that he can choose. The entire map is based on 1 seed. So if there are other players online, if you're playing online and there are other players online who are playing on the same seed as you, I think there's probably some limited number of seeds per day or something. They can appear on your courses if they're also raising those courses live, but they won't interact with you. You won't crash into them or anything. So you don't have to worry about, am I online? Am I competing against them? No, they're just there. They're just there to show there are other people. And you can see, like on this macro map, you can see this is the level select, and you can choose your path to get to the boss track.
Right. So what you see on that map is that courses are defined basically by 3 variables: the steepness, curves, and stunts. And since the course names basically just describe what the courses are, you might see something with real low steepness, some curves, and some stunts, and it'll be called curvy stunts or something. And you can mostly judge what you're going to get from the stats that you see on that. Like, for example, I picked a danger zone, and I will go into detail on some of those special courses, but I picked a danger zone that had fairly high steepness, decent curvature, and some stunts to it, and you're seeing a fairly steep track for the Highlands with curves and stunts along the way.
Now, should we also go into the first environment a little bit, because we haven't actually touched on the Highlands at all either, which is the opening stage for the normal career mode. This one is pretty good for a starter one. It's like there's no real dangers if you go off course besides like a few rocks and trees and stuff, which in some of the later environments you'll see going off course can be almost a death sentence in some of them. But this one is pretty basic to begin with. Even like max steepness is not gonna really get you as much speed as some of the later environments would.
Right. Highlands is definitely the most open. You can see all around you. If something's in your way in the track and you need to go around it, you can pretty easily see what's to your sides. And yeah, it'll give you pretty open environment that'll allow you to explore around with it. Basically, as a rule of thumb, I say that I play, I came up with this saying thinking about how am I going to describe this. I play it basically as safe as I can see, and that means that how far I can see in front of me and what I can see determines basically how much risk I can take. In some of the later environments where it's going to, throw you on a really downhill thing where you're not going to be able to see what's down it until you start going, I'm going to take that slower. But in Highlands, most of the time you're able to see quite a bit.
Ooh, we getting a free ride track here? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so along with the standard tracks, there are certain kind of special tracks that you will find in each area. Like, for example, the danger zone had that exclamation mark, and so if you see a track with an exclamation mark, that's always a danger zone. And each one has its own kind of special thing. Danger zone, for example, gives you more rep based on everything you do, but also doubles the number of lives you lose on a bail. So it's basically higher risk, higher reward. That helmet cam track will always lock you into first person. And if you find a star track, then that's always kind of a special area that changes based on what main area you're in. In the Highlands, you go to the construction site.
I remember the first time you did the construction site here, you had such a shitty time.
Oh God, yeah.
You're making this look so much easier than that first time.
I mean, we did have an hour-long training on doing this one on a live stream.
The hardest part of the construction site is that one jump at the start of it to get up onto the concrete pipes.
Yeah.
Again, this is not something you need to do if you come across it.
Again, time. Notice that reach the top is the optional objective. You can just dick around in here if you'd like. That's one thing about the optional objectives that's probably worth mentioning. You get 1 life for doing the optional objective, 1 health for doing the optional objective. So if you spend more than 1 health getting that optional objective, you might just want to skip it. Yeah. And that's fine. Like earlier he had one where it was like, do 2 360s. He probably could have gotten that one, but he was in first person. That's a little bit more difficult to do 360s, so it's like, whatever.
Right.
You want to tell them about the sponsor tracks?
Yeah, so another one you will find in each area is that sponsor track that you'll see with the green, blue, and red parts of the circle. And so when you start the game, you will not have a sponsor. Your HUD, any part of it that is red for me, like my rep at the bottom, my speed over on the bottom right, will be white for you, and you'll just have a basic, white jersey or such. As you find these sponsor tracks, you can pick between the 3 sponsors, Arboreal, Kinetic, and Enemy. Arboreal are supposed to be about enjoying nature and riding off track. And, well, if you pick an Arboreal sponsor track, that will always be a no path track, which personally I hate those.
Yeah, those are not fun at all.
They don't even tell you where the end goal is.
They do.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh.
They give a compass.
Okay.
But Kinetic is all about speed. You saw I picked the Kinetic and it was max steepness, low curves, no stunts. So if you love going fast, love, racing by things at 1,000,000 miles an hour and drifting back and forth, Kinetic might be the sponsor for you. And then Enemy is the Flippy Boys.
Flippy Boys.
It's kind of our nickname. Basically, it's all about stunts. If you pick an Enemy track, that will be maximum stunts.
The EXPN people are pretty much all Enemy.
And so as you find those sponsor tracks, as you keep doing these career sessions, if you pick a certain amount of one sponsor, they will notice you and invite you to their team. And so I picked 3 Enemy tracks when I started out, and Enemy sponsored me. And now
these are all fictional companies.
Yeah. And now I've ridden up through the ranks.
Were you showing off the resetting feature?
Yes. Yeah. So
there's no penalty for resetting, right?
Right.
Okay.
As long as you didn't crash beforehand, of course.
Yeah. You can't reset above a certain speed. You have to slow yourself down, basically. But
that makes sense.
Least on a controller and on an Xbox controller, B sends you back to the previous checkpoint. The back button sends you back to the start of the track. And if it's an objective like finish within 45 seconds, that will reset the timer as well if you go back to the start of the track.
So this
should I explain? Well, you're not doing Fire Node, are you? No, doesn't look
No,
like
I'm
it.
not doing Fire Node. But did you guys notice that it started to get darker?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the sun is setting.
Yeah.
Another cool thing about Descenders is that as you stay in a map and keep doing tracks within that map, it will start to get darker. Basically, after you do the opening track, you have 6 tracks to pick where it is light. And then the next 2 tracks will be at sunset. And if you stay in after that, and I'll show this off, it will get dark, but you'll have a headlamp on the front of your bike. If you keep doing tracks after that, your battery will die, and you'll really just be riding by the light of the moon. So it gets harder and harder to, well, know what you're doing and be able to do things the longer you stay in an environment.
Yeah, and the whole day-night cycle, too, kind of goes on the whole, managing your own risk, too, because you can go through more levels and get more reputation if you stay out later, but again...
Yeah, more rep means more crew members, more, and also more advancement towards, well, now you can see it's nighttime.
Yeah.
Which, I really like how the sun affects this map, too, because I'm pretty sure that map does map to the actual tracks that you see. Like,
I'm
if
not
you
sure
zoom
about
in,
that
you
one.
can find. I'm pretty sure it is.
But, even, at night, this game is... I think this game is absolutely gorgeous, even at night, where you can't see anything. It's...
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely does add to the difficulty a lot more than you'd expect. Like, even for someone like me who, sure, every level is procedurally generated, but it will give you the same set pieces and such. I go, oh, I see the 2 enemy things at the top of the ramp. I know what kind of ramp that is. Even as someone like me, once it gets to dark and no headlight, I will just crash into a random ass rock that's just barely sticking into the path.
Yeah, or hay bale that's rolling in from off track.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Boss
this
jump.
is the boss track. So we're rolling in. We see this sick ass jump, and we have a little bit too much speed for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's gonna be your biggest enemy in doing these boss jumps. Too much speed.
Or too little speed on some of them, too, because some of them can give you really bad
No, I mean,
generation.
for new players, it'll always be too much speed, because you're not gonna know. You're not gonna know you need to temper your speed.
Right. So when you get to the boss tracks, they will always have a big boss jump at the end of them. Now, for Highlands, you can skip the jump, but you do want to try to take it because, well, when you haven't unlocked the shortcut to the next area, Forest, yet, the optional objective on the boss track will always be something about the boss jump. Do a 360
flip,
on the boss jump, something like that.
Yeah.
And you have to accomplish 3 of those to unlock the shortcut where you could just start at the second environment. That's also another kind of thing as well that, if you're crashing along the way and not even making it to the boss track, you're just starting back at the beginning. It can definitely be rough at the start, just feeling kind of like you're stuck in the opening area.
It is very much like, in roguelikes, this is a thing they did pull very well from roguelikes. Roguelikes, you kind of have to hit your head against the game a little bit at the beginning so that you can get to the later areas, and that can be really demoralizing. And it can also cause kind of a death spiral, right? You die once, you feel more demoralized, you play worse, you die again, you feel more demoralized, etc., etc. And then you're eventually out and you're like, why did I even play this game? But just stick with it. And also seriously, counterpump when you're going off big jumps. And I started out as total garbage, and now I'm not as garbage. Insectic started out as total garbage. Now he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's regularly higher reputation than me, so that's saying something.
Ramirez probably started as garbage, but he's our expert on this stuff. If you go to the daily challenge, on days that they play, Zindictive is always near the top, Insectic's always near the top, Ramirez is always near the top of the leaderboard, if not at the top of the leaderboard, these guys all started at garbage. So practice makes perfect.
I am done basically warning you about the game. I don't want to say too many times oh, watch out, the game's gonna kick your ass, because I don't want people to stop playing it because they had a really bad first hour or so. I fucking hated this game for the first hour or two, and then you hear the advice of like just stick with it, and sometimes you're like, really? But yes, really. You could see where I got to by just learning what is going to happen with how to manage everything. So, yeah, once you go through the Highlands, you'll go to the second area, Forest, and that's where we'll start next video.